Welcome to This Day in His Story, created by American Heritage Worldwide. A reminder that every day holds something new to learn. Did you know that inventor Edwin Prescott received the first patent in 1898 for his Loop-the-Loop roller coaster at Coney Island? Learn how it had an oval-shaped loop with special safety wheels to make the ride smoother and more secure. Learn that the only problem with the Loop-the-Loop roller coaster was that more people wanted to watch people spinning in the loop than riding in it. Discover how Prescott's invention paved the way for 100 years of exciting roller coaster inventions that we enjoy today. You are sitting in a small fiberglass cart.
Oh yeah, we all know that feeling.
You hear that heavy mechanical clack, clack, clack as you're pulled up a 400-foot hill, and time just entirely freezes for a split second.
Right before the drive.
Exactly. You look over the edge and your stomach just completely drops out from under you. Welcome to the deep dive, everyone.
Glad you're here with us.
Today, our mission is to explore the wild, surprising history of how humans learn to basically hack gravity. We're looking at the evolution of roller coasters, and we're going to unpack how the physical momentum of these rides actually mirrors a much deeper kind of momentum in our own lives.
Yeah, it's a fascinating parallel. We've got a great stack of sources today. Historical accounts, actual engineering blueprints, and a really profound text on human spirituality.
We're taking you on a journey. We'll travel from 15th century Russian ice slides to the very first patent for a vertical loop.
We're also going to uncover why looping coasters basically vanished for a century.
Right. And then we'll look at today's mind-bending speed records. And finally, learn 5 essential steps for building positive spiritual momentum. So, okay, let's unpack this, starting with the fact that the first thrill-seekers were actually just sitting on blocks of ice.
Yeah, I mean, before we can even talk about high-tech loops, we really have to look at this raw, unadulterated desire for speed. Like long before safety patents were even a concept.
Oh, for sure. The source material notes this started in 15th century Russia. We're talking about structures that were up to 70 feet tall and 100 feet long.
Covered in slick frozen ice.
Yeah, a 7-story building made of wood and ice. And the riders, they didn't have a secure cart. They literally sat on straw seats placed on blocks of ice, and they were hitting 50 miles per hour.
Just try to process the sheer physics of that scenario for a second.
It's insane.
You're hurtling down a 70-foot icy ramp. There is no lap bar, no braking mechanism. It's just a block of ice, some straw, an absolute disaster waiting to happen. The stopping mechanism was often just, a pile of sand at the end of the run.
That is basically riding a sled on steroids. Like 50 miles per hour today in a modern car feels fast if you roll the windows down.
Right, exactly.
Doing that in the 1400s, it must have felt like breaking the sound barrier. Humans obviously have this innate craving for the visceral feeling of momentum. And that craving becomes even more obvious when we jump to America in 1827.
Yes. The Mauch-Chunk Switchback Railway in Pennsylvania.
Right. Which was originally built to deliver massive loads of coal down a 9-mile downhill stretch. And get this, also hitting 50 miles per hour.
It's such a crucial pivot in history, really, because this track was purely industrial. It was governed entirely by gravity.
Mules would actually haul the empty carts up and then ride down with the coal. But here's the crazy part. People started watching these coal carts flying down the mountain, and tourists started demanding a turn.
Human nature at its finest.
Wait, so people in the 1870s were paying to ride in a coal cart. That means the entire theme park industry basically started as an industrial side hustle.
It really did.
Mm-hmm.
What's fascinating here is why this matters. By 1873, they were carrying over 30,000 passengers a year.
At 75 cents a pop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Humans have always sought out the raw physics of gravity and speed. But early on, as we see with the ice blocks and the coal trains, it was entirely uncontrolled and unrefined.
But we don't settle for unrefined for long, do we? We want to control the beast. Which brings us to the Coney Island era, and the very first attempt to purposely design a coaster for the public.
And this is where the story takes a really unexpected turn. Because the mission for this first coaster wasn't about pure adrenaline at all.
Yeah, let's set the scene. Coney Island, New York, late 1800s. After the Civil War, this place was a booming resort area, theaters, a racetrack, a huge nightlife.
It was the epicenter of entertainment, but, also a hub for a lot of social vices. Gambling, drinking, that sort of thing.
Right. So into this wild environment steps LaMarcus Thompson in 1884. He builds the switchback gravity railway. And you'd think, okay, the coal carts hit 50, he's going to aim for 60, right?
Yeah. You would assume so. But his ride operated at a blistering pace of roughly 6 miles per hour.
6 miles per hour. I can jog faster than that. And the design was so weird by today's standards, passengers didn't even face forward.
No, they faced sideways, on bench seats.
Yeah, to just take in the panoramic views of the beach while they gently rolled along this undulating track. And the mechanics were super manual.
Right, that's why it was called a switchback. Gravity took the cart down to the other end, the passengers got out, and attendants actually had to physically push the heavy cart up to a second set of tracks.
Just to send the next group back. But the real kicker is Thompson's motivation. He didn't care about thrills. He wanted a wholesome experience so people could get some fresh air and resist the temptation of gambling and drinking.
It's such an ironic piece of history.
Wait, he built a roller coaster to stop people from gambling. That's like building a race car track to encourage safe driving.
I know, it sounds ridiculous now, but what's fascinating here is that the first purpose-built coaster in America was an instrument for moral and social reform. He was using gravity as a distraction from vice.
It's brilliant, really. But, 6 miles per hour wasn't going to satisfy people forever. Once you put people on a track, the natural next question is...
Can we turn them completely upside down?
Exactly, the quest for inversion. But making that leap in the late 1890s, that feels like an incredibly dangerous mathematical gamble.
Oh, it absolutely was. The vertical loop became the holy grail for designers. But there had been terrible, totally unsafe attempts in France earlier on.
Right, real horror stories. But then we get Edwin Prescott, a designer from Massachusetts. On August 16th, 1898, he wins the first patent for a roller coaster with a vertical loop.
The Loop-the-Loop roller coaster at Coney Island. And Prescott's genius wasn't just building a loop, it was patenting the improvements that made it survivable.
Because a perfect circle is brutal, right? To get enough momentum to not fall out at the top, you have to enter the bottom so fast that the G-forces would literally crush you into the seat.
Snapping necks, causing blackouts. Yeah, the physics of a perfect circle just don't work for human bodies.
So Prescott brought actual science to it. He used a more elliptical design to reduce the G-forces. He used rubber wheels.
And he added that crucial safety feature underneath the cart, the under-friction design. He put wheels on the opposite side of the main rail to lock the car to the track.
So even when it was totally inverted, it couldn't fall off. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Prescott actually had to explain this to a terrified public. He said, and I quote, "Due to centrifugal action, the contents of the car remain securely in place and the car follows the track."
He had to convince them the math was real.
Right. It's exactly like swinging a bucket of water over your head. If you go fast enough, the water stays put. The momentum pushes it against the bottom of the bucket.
That is the perfect analogy. And Prescott even used an elevator chain to haul the cars up higher at the start, just to ensure they had enough potential energy. He really did solve the physics.
But he couldn't solve the economics. The ride was a massive commercial failure, wasn't it?
It was a tragedy of being a pioneer. Only 4 passengers could ride in a single car at once.
The capacity was terrible.
And worse, human psychology got in the way. People were happy to pay the admission fee just to stand on the ground and watch, but they were too terrified to actually ride it. It closed in 1910 after just 12 years.
Which is wild because that commercial failure created this massive gap. Hold on, nearly a century without a loop. Was the math really that hard to figure out, or were people just terrified after Coney Island?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it was a mix of both. Investors saw the loop fail and thought, loops are a bad bet. And engineers were still struggling to find a shape that was safe for long, high-capacity trains.
So the vertical loop basically vanished until 1976.
Almost 100 years later.
And that's when Six Flags Magic Mountain opens the new revolution. And the secret, the thing that finally broke the drought, it was a shape called the clothoid loop.
The clothoid loop is an absolute engineering marvel. It's shaped sort of like an upside-down teardrop.
Right, so it has a smaller radius at the top and a larger, much wider radius at the bottom.
Exactly. When the train hits the bottom at maximum speed, that wide curve prevents the G-forces from crushing you.
And as you go up, gravity slows you down. But because the curve is super tight at the very top, the slower cart just whips around the apex quickly and safely.
It perfectly balances centrifugal force and gravity. It was the missing link that finally opened the floodgates for the extreme records we see today.
Oh, the extremes are insane now. We've got King Dakar in New Jersey towering at 465 feet
launching people from 0 to 128 miles per hour in 3.5 seconds.
And Formula Rossa in Abu Dhabi, hitting 149 miles per hour in under 5 seconds. They're even adding virtual reality now.
The evolution is just staggering. But, up to this point, we've been talking about physical tracks, right? Tracks that take us higher and higher. But the source material makes this incredible pivot.
It really does. It takes the exact mechanics of gaining physical momentum and applies them directly to our personal spiritual lives.
Yeah, let's get into this because this blew my mind. We are looking at the teachings of President Russell M. Nelson from the April 2022 General Conference. He talked about positive spiritual momentum.
And the core truth he lays out is so powerful. He explains that spiritual momentum helps us withstand the relentless, wicked attacks of the adversary.
Right. It literally thwarts the efforts to erode our personal spiritual foundations. It keeps us on the rails.
Exactly. And just like building potential energy on a coaster, this spiritual momentum is ignited by very specific actions. Things like obedience, love, humility, service, and gratitude.
The sources outline 5 essential ways to gain this momentum. So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Just like that coaster clicking up the chain lift, what actions are actually pulling you upward?
Let's lay out the 5 steps he gave because they map perfectly to what we've been talking about. Number 1, staying on the covenant path.
That's your structural track.
Precisely. Number 2, discovering the joy of daily repentance.
Which is so much like the elevator chain Prescott used. It's the daily mechanism hauling you upward, resetting your energy for the next drop.
Yeah, I love that connection. Number 3 is learning about God and how he works.
Right, which is basically understanding the physics of your own life, like understanding the clothoid loop so you don't get crushed by the G-forces of your trials.
That's exactly it. Number 4 is seeking and expecting miracles. And number 5 is ending the conflict in your personal life.
Ending conflict is literally removing structural friction, just like replacing hard metal wheels with smooth rubber ones. You get rid of the friction, you maintain your speed.
It requires intentional daily actions. You don't just accidentally build spiritual momentum. You engineer it step by step so that you have the velocity to push through life's sudden inversions.
Because life is definitely going to turn us upside down sometimes. It's inevitable.
Absolutely. The gravity of the world is always pulling down.
Man, what an incredible journey we've been on today. We started with people literally plunging down mountains on blocks of ice, purely chasing a thrill.
And then we saw Lamarcus Thompson using a slow cart ride to try and socially engineer morality.
Which is still hilarious to me. And we explored Edwin Prescott's brilliant but doomed loop-the-loop all the way to the meticulous math of the clothoid loop that makes today's crazy coasters possible.
And it all culminates in that profound truth. Our spiritual momentum requires the exact same intentional buildup. We have to engineer our spiritual velocity.
So we want to leave you with a direct call to action from our source material today. Think about your own life. In what ways do you ignite your spiritual momentum?
What's your chain lift? What's causing your friction?
Exactly. The source material asks you to share your ideas with a family member or friend. Talk about it.
Because it's so easy to just coast until you stall out. We spend so much time marveling at the engineers who design these massive steel tracks to keep roller coasters safely on the rails.
We really do.
But looking at your own life right now, are you engineering your daily habits so that when gravity inevitably pulls you down, your momentum carries you right back up?
Thank you for joining us for this day in his story. May the lessons of yesterday inspire you to see God's hand today and to play your part in his story now. For more faith-based learning, visit ahsworldwide.org, the homeschool for faith and family.